Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show, where we interview real investors that are doing real deals in this current market about how they are finding, funding, and flipping the deals. We talk about what they are doing that is working and the things they did that didn't work so that you can save time and money as you become a real investor. Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show. Hey guys, we're back with another Coffee with Closer. I got my coffee here and I've got a real estate investor with me again today. And that's what I love about this Coffee with Closer show. It weeds out the gurus.
Yes, a lot of those out there.
And so we really get to talk with investors all over the country and in my local market about deals, right? Like, what are they doing? And so I am absolutely ecstatic to have Tamera on here with us. You can all see her. Say hi, Tamera.
Hello.
I've known Tamera now for, I think the first time I met you was like 9 years ago or something like that.
Maybe even a little longer.
Maybe a little longer,
Maybe
huh?
A little longer, yeah. It was at a mastermind event. I think we were part of the Jeff Adams.
That's right. That was like 12 years ago.
It was a long time ago. I've been doing this a long time. Yep. That's when I did my jump into the internet marketing space. Real estate investing first.
But here's the thing, and I tell investors this all the time, like one of the things you have to get your head around is, yes, we're investors and we're looking for deals and we're looking to build wealth, but we're really marketers. That's what we are. We're marketers. We're trying to find leads. We're trying to grow our business and we need lead generation. And you actually have something special for people, and we'll get into that later. But let's start off with how you became a crazy real estate investor. And I don't want to, dig too much into it, but there was a pivotal moment in most people that I interview, whether they were sick of their job or something, but they read a book, they had a coach, they had an uncle, they went to a seminar. What was that moment in your world, Tamera? I mean, because now you're doing what, 5, 6, 7 deals a month now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what was, and you didn't start there, let's be honest, let's tell everybody the truth, like it's a work in progress, like
exactly.
You build the momentum, but what was it back then when you did take the transition over to the crazy real estate world? What was it that made that transition? What brought that light to surface?
Okay, I'm going to take 2 minutes.
Okay.
I was that, stories you hear all those gurus talk about where, you got sick, you lost your mother, lost your brother, went to foreclosure, went bankrupt and almost died.
Yep.
True story.
True story.
Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Everything went wrong. And I was in this space and I was walking through a sundries shop at that point, right around that time when I was at the bottom of the pit. After I started my first $1 million business at age 20 and ran it for 8 years very successful and lost everything.
Ooh.
So I went from here to here very quickly. And then, so I saw this book called The 1 Minute Millionaire.
I know that book.
It's a good book.
It is.
In fact, it's right there behind me. I liked it because I was raised in a middle-class family. Nobody taught me how to run that business. And that's probably what, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a coach. In fact, I thought I was all of that and a bag of chips and no one was going to tell me nothing because I was 20 and I was ruling the world. Yeah. And I had, and so you do that and then you lose everything and then you figure out, well, maybe there's something I missed. So I read that book and I saw a lot that it really impacted me at the time.
And tell everybody the book again, just so that they're clear.
Okay, 1 Minute Millionaire by Mark Victor Hansen and Robert Allen. And what I like about it is for someone who's borderline ADHD like me, one side is facts of the story. Yeah, you and me get along good. That's why we like each other. And then the other side, actually, most millionaires are ADHD. I just want you to know. So I'm not. I've never been officially diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. On the right side is a fiction story. So I liked it because it showed what can happen when you do multiple streams of income. And that was just a brand new, I know that's old school for everybody now, everybody Kiyosaki and, and all this stuff is really old to everyone now. But at the time it was new.
Yep.
That rocked my world. Okay, you asked me what rocked my world. I read that book and I was like, oh my gosh, I put my whole world into this business. and didn't do anything else that was taught in that book and several others since.
Yep.
Then I found Mark and Bob, that's what they ended up being to me, at an event down the street when I was completely busted. Watched them stand up on stage and offer a $5,000 coaching program where I didn't have a dime at that time. So I had to, and I'm going to say what I probably a lot of people can relate to. They don't have a dime. How do you get coaching from these top coaches when you can't afford it?
Right.
Well, you have to think out of the box. Right. So my out of the box was one of the things that got me through all that time was good friends. And I actually called a friend who knows my ethics and character, which has always been, I feel, up there. And I asked if I could put $5,000 on their credit card. And I told them I'd work at McDonald's if I had to work 10 jobs to make sure that job was paid. But I was pretty sure by what I had been told that I was going to make this work. So I did. I made it work. It took about a year, I'm just going to say, of doing inventions and, all the different ideas. Fell in love with real estate. I love talking to people. I love networking and interacting, and I'm a pretty good salesperson, always have been. It took about a year and I got my first deal, and I made more that year than I had in any one given month of my life.
Wow.
On that one deal. So that's it in a nutshell. So
no, I love that because there's a few things you said, and if you see me doing this, I'm writing notes. So
no, that's okay.
You said a few things there. One, Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen's a coaching program for $5,000 like that. I would,
at the time, that was 6 years
run
ago.
to that right now.
Yeah. So I ended up paying a lot more over time.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying, like, the value of those two guys for $5,000, like, that's incredible. Like, what a great start. You know what I mean? That's incredible.
I made 10 times that amount on my first deal. No more than that. 12, 13 times, a lot more.
Right. But you said something else that I really liked too, was the fact that, you were like, well, I was doing inventions and then I fell in love with real estate because I like to talk to people. So I want to touch on that for a moment, because there's a lot of people, especially in my education side of my business, where the hardest thing is to get them to talk to people, right? And we know, you and I both know, like, we probably never met a stranger.
Exactly.
Just talk to anybody.
I'm at the grocery store line and I got a new BFF.
Like yesterday, I'm sitting getting my brakes done, and everybody that came in and sat next to me, I'm just talking to them.
Exactly.
I just can't help it. But there's a lot of people that can't. Like, they get nervous, they get fearful about that. And I want to just touch on that for a moment, because in the space of real estate, especially with for sale by owners, and we're talking directly to the seller, we have to be okay with talking. And what's something that you would say that either had helped you overcome that, or something that you're doing with your own students that are helping them overcome some of that fear?
I want to say I wrote the book on negotiating with sellers. And I think, and it's not just students, I have VAs. So I have to teach virtual assistants how to talk to sellers.
Right.
Because I have a lot of calls now coming in, which right. I can tell you about that in a minute. But one of the things that I think I just tell people to do is number one, connect. Find one thing and here's what happens is when people are nervous, they don't listen. So they just are so busy about what they're going to say next that then they'll go awesome, even though they didn't hear a darn thing anyone said. So what I've taught all my students and trainees to do is just repeat back what they say. That's just it. Oh, okay. You want to get $350,000 for your property, and you're thinking that's only worth $200,000. So you're not going to argue that. You're just going to repeat back.
You teach the respond, repeat. What is it?
I don't even know. I
read that in a book years ago.
Maybe I should write a book.
But it made so much sense. It was talking about what you just said. It was talking about how to connect with them. When someone says something, they want to know, one, you acknowledge them, two, repeat what they just said, and then respond with the direction you want to go with them.
Exactly. That's it. Those are the 3 points. If you can do that, you can have a conversation. You don't have to have all the right answers. I know I work with a lot of students, and so do you, who are afraid they're not going to have the right answers because they're new.
And it's what stops them.
Exactly.
Because they get up here in this little 7 inches. Well, mine's about 9 inches, but they get stuck up here, right? They're like, oh, but what if they ask me this? And what if they ask me that? And what? But here's the thing. They'll never know how to find the answer until the question's been asked to them.
Exactly. And you just be honest, that's a great question. And, I'm going to get that answer for you.
Love it.
Don't have it right now, but I'll get it for you. Don't be afraid of questions you don't know the answers
So,
to.
Tamera, I'm not going to ask you how long you've been in this business, but.
No, you can. I am very proud. Very proud.
How long have you been doing real estate, Tamera?
2003.
2003. So that's 16 years.
That's right.
That's the amount of time I've been doing this.
I know. We started around the same time.
That's awesome. So how many deals would you say that you've done in the last 16 years?
I kind of lost count, but somewhere around a little under 400 I was trying to add them up the other day. Yeah. That's funny. Just like last month, somebody asked me that. I'm like, I don't like lying. I'm like a woman of character. Got to be right. So I actually went back and tried to estimate, and it's a little less than 400.
So you got in, you started building momentum, and then you've gotten to the point where you're doing 50, 60 deals a year now.
Exactly.
And that's important. I want people to hear because, I was on another show and we were talking about this, that sometimes new investors tend to look at you or myself and see, oh man, these guys have done hundreds of deals and I haven't even done one. And it's not about comparing it's about understanding, look, we've just put more time in than they have and they just need to get going all.
And I think the more someone is able to handhold with someone like yourself, Zach, who's been doing it and is experienced, they get more confidence and it's a lot easier to do more.
It is.
But it took me, I told you, it took me a year to get that first one big deal. Yeah. But once it was like the momentum, because I'm sure I had some fear and some things stopping me. But once I did, that was it. I was all in.
I know. I started in California and it was tough. I mean, you're in California.
I'm in California.
I started my investing career 16 years ago in the Bay Area.
Very tough. Which is just right up the road from me.
Yeah, you're in the valley, right?
Yes, exactly.
And we used to drive over to the valley because the houses over there were cheaper. Exactly. And we were driving for dollars up and down Modesto and over in that area. We were driving.
Highway 99.
Yes. We used to go down to Livermore and cut across the windmill factory.
Yep.
But that's how I started the same way, just grinding, getting out there. So let's talk about where you are right now. Okay. So in your business today, what type of deals are you doing? Are you wholesaling, rehabbing, buy and hold, a little bit of everything, or do you lean more into one type of investing strategy?
I'll always buy a house with an exit strategy in mind. And normally it's going to be right now in this market, it's going to be to either flip it or buy and hold it. However, we're in such a great market right now that my wholesale money is coming in almost as high as, or very close to what I would make if I rehabbed it. And time is money. And if I'm going to rehab it, I'm looking at a 4 to 5 month hold right now, because that's just what it's taken. By the time, even if I take a month to rehab and put it on the market, the lenders take forever to close, 30 to 45 days, 60 usually. Yeah. So, I mean, it used to be I could get in and out in 60 days, plus the FHA, for anybody who's new, if you try to sell a house in less than 90 days, FHA loans don't qualify. However, lenders have gotten more flexible on their
very much. I was telling a group of people the other day, I said, look, lending today, like it's so much easier right now to get money than it has been for 10 years.
It has, with very low down payments. Yes, we're going back to that, which is a little scary based on what happened before, but hopefully that won't happen.
So your main focus right now then is you're just looking to either flip it and make the money, or if you can wholesale it and make equal to or greater than your flip, you just wholesale it out.
Exactly. But I just, like, for instance, recently bought a triplex to flip. Mm-hmm. And I've held, they were making that, it was a horrible rent, $650 a month each unit. And they were a mess and the roof was falling in, but I got it to the point so low that the appraiser's office called me to ask what the heck and where did I get it? And I've never had an appraiser's office ask me that. And why are you questioning where I bought this house? Well, I can't find any houses to appraise your house at to charge you taxes as low as you paid. So I'm just trying to understand, was there actually a unit on that piece of land? But anyway, my point is I bought that to fix and flip, but I did the nasty landlord thing and I literally doubled the rent. And in California, you have to give him a little notice, 60 days. So I actually gave him 90 days notice. Yep. So I've held on without, I fixed the roof because I didn't want anything falling in, but I wasn't going to do any inside work until they paid. They all paid. I doubled the rent and they all paid. So now I'm receiving $3,500 a month rent and I might keep it.
I'm going to dig into this a little bit with you.
See, I thought I had one strategy, and now I'm moving to a new one, so you never know.
Well, let's dig. Let's dig. All right, so $650 was the rents on each door.
Yes.
What did you pay per door for that?
I paid $260, so that would be $120 a door.
$120 a door, and you got 600. 650 is where it was. So obviously that would not work.
No, but I knew it was way off because it was family members renting to family members.
Yes. So you came in and doubled the rents,
which is still below what it should be.
So you paid $360 for the whole building.
$260.
So that would not be $120 a door.
20. Oh gosh, no. So what is that? 80?
That'd be 85,
95. Sorry, I had 360. Let me pull my calculator. This is why I have an accountant, a CPA, and a bookkeeper. And the funny thing is, I wrote the thing on the bottom line. Is the bottom line. It's all about numbers, but then I need my calculator. So yeah, is it 85, Zach?
$86,000 a door.
I'm sorry about that. Somebody was out there going, that don't.
That's what I was like. Wait a minute, that didn't add up. So that's a good deal, especially now that you doubled it, right? Because $650 at rent wouldn't have made it. It's not even the 1% factor. But now you're $1,200 on the door. You're paying $80,000 for a door. So 80 times a 1.5 factor would be $1,200. So you got those for a 1.5 rent factor on the cost of the door. That's really good. And
the house is the property. I'm sorry, the triplex is really worth like $370.
Oh my goodness! I don't know if I'd sell it.
Well, I'm putting in actually today, right now. I have my second unit being worked on, so I probably put in by the time I'm done $50,000. But that's all right. Still have a $50,000, $60,000 in equity on top of the monthly rent. So
that's a good deal. Good cash flow, good purchase. So let's talk about that. So, because you've led me right into what deal are we going to talk about?
I have lots of them.
I know you do. So tell me about how you found that deal. What happened? Like marketing, direct mail, ad play, like what did you do to find that deal?
Well, what I've discovered is that I've done lots of different ways. There's two different main ways I get my deals, I'll just say. One is I've gotten to know a lot of other people in the industry.
So network.
And one way I did that, for someone who's new, I know this, I'm just going to give you a little secret here. I went down to the trustee sale and I just hung out quietly.
Yep.
I just hung out quietly and looked at people with $1 million checks in their back pocket. And then I just did what Tamera does and Zack just said he does. I just chatted. Hey, how's it going out there? And are you looking for deals? Because if you are, I sometimes get them. Anyway, I literally have, and that's where, I have a product called Locator Gold where I have a whole pile of investors. Well, I have 1,000 or so investors throughout the United States that I do business with. Yeah. But right here in my own little neck of the woods, probably about 120. So we all don't want the same kind of deals. So right. Or they don't have enough money. I mean, nobody's, a bottomless pile right. of money. There's always that, there's always a limit and a style. So I do get a lot of my deals from people that I've met.
So networking is the big one.
Yeah. We just, somebody will call and say, hey, I got a house down on an area they don't want to buy. I'll buy anywhere.
Yep.
I will buy anywhere if it's a deal. Most of the things that people are afraid of, I'm not. Yep. I actually have, Stockton's not known for, it's kind of a gangster area in some areas. Not where I live, it's beautiful, but the news likes to play that, which is great. It's no problem for me. I've actually got some people that actually don't like to pay rent that I've created relationships over the years that actually stay in these houses when I buy them. Wow. So I don't worry about squatters coming in. They're happy to stay. They call me, they take pictures every night. And not only do they not pay rent for where they get to stay, but I pay them to stay there. So, and it's funny how those relationships have been built, and they actually have jobs. I mean, these are people. These aren't like, somebody that yanked off the side of the road. I mean, these are people with jobs that are just, a little low budget and just happy to, stay in a house with some electricity and PG&E and some water, and they bring in their own bed.
No, I'm with you. So I first started wholesaling. You know where this is. You know where North Richmond is. Oh, yeah. That's just about as good. I've had a gun pulled on me there. Now, this was way back in the day, 16 years ago. I went in there because nobody else would go in there. Yeah. Like everybody was like, well, that just eliminates my competition. I just bring 12 packs of beer and hand them to the neighbors or whatever they want. Yep. And I just make friends. Awesome. Do what I do. So you asked me about this deal, so I'll get to that. So this is really where I'm getting a bulk of my deals right now. So I've always done direct mail, but I failed greatly in how I was doing it, which was finding those magic marketing pieces that you get in your email. And then I'd mail it out and no one would call me. So now I work with a really great system that actually is aligned with a CRM, which is Podio. And when I send out these cards and letters to people who are in foreclosure. I'm getting a lot of landlords calling me right now because they think we're hitting the peak of the market. So they want to see what they can get. Definitely inherited leads. So these are some, obvious for those that are in the business. For those that are new, those are really good leads to go after. But my cards just get them to call me. They're kind of teaser cards. They're like, hey, this is really important and it's about your property. You need to call me. And then when they call me. You're not trying, and I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to get clear. You're not trying to close the deal through the postcard. You're just trying to get them on the phone or one of your team members to then talk about the deal and then take them through the relationship building. Oh, beyond that. I want their phone number. Yeah. I just want their phone number because what happens is my system captures their phone number. Once they call me, I'm in. Yeah. Because now they've called me, I'm allowed to call them back. Right. So I do have people answering the phone. I have Pat Live 24/7. But then there's some that just goes to a recording because frankly, it doesn't matter. Some are calling to tell me to quit bugging them. I mean, it doesn't matter. They just call. Right. And I'm getting a lot of calls. So I have a team of people that call back for the calls that are missed and the ones that are, because some are purposefully taken to a recording. Yeah, they're raising their hand now saying, hey, look, I was curious, I'm interested. So that rises to the top like cream. And you're saying, hey, let's go after the cream now. Yes, you're not going to sell from a direct mail piece. The only way the way that I'm getting deals is these conversations. And sometimes it's no, okay, we'll call you back in 3 months. No. Okay, we'll call you back in 3 months. No, because we know I sent them a letter for a reason. Yeah. I know that. They don't know I know that, but I know that. I just tell them I'm buying a house in their area and do they want to sell their house. I never talk about their problem. It ends up coming out. So it's about having their number so we can just remember I just said at the beginning of the call, make a friend, connect, listen to what they have to say. And then just hang, keep it moving forward. Just leave that door open and move forward. I'm not all about the close in the first call. No, I'm not either. I don't, and I've never taught that. I'm like you on that, Tamera. I'm like, look, the first call is it's information gathering. It's getting to know them. It's to building some sense of like trust and rapport with them. Because here's why: they're expecting you to make an offer. Don't. I won't. They always say, well, how much? I'm like, I got to meet you. I don't know. My assistants say, hey, Tamera, I got an appointment. Go do your magic. I mean, in person, it's done. Yeah. I mean, if I get that, unless it's just somebody who's really just out to waste my time, which I've set up my systems enough that by the time that appointment hits, it's
I'm going to get it.
So that's good. Let's talk about that then. So on this lead, it sounds to me like you're doing more of a two-step, maybe even a three-step process. So you're direct mailing, getting them on the call. The call's communication to set an appointment to get somebody to the property to then walk the property and execute the contract on the property, or do you have a third step where you follow back up with them?
No, in fact, I tell my my appointment setters, tell them she's bringing a contract. Use everyone there that needs to, well, we already know what's on title. So we've done our due diligence before we go out. So I have a purchase contract ready to go. And if for some reason I got to tweak that price, it's just a pen and an initial.
Yep.
But
so you're doing a two-step process. You're generating the lead to communicate with them to then set an appointment, which is a physical, be at your house with a contract. We're going to do the deal as long as you win, I win, everybody wins, we agree on the price.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to dig a little bit further here with you. They say no. Where do you
go to my price?
Where do you take the prospect when you meet with them at the house and they say no? Do you just say, all right, I'm done? Or do you put them into one of Tamera's famous follow-up processes?
It ain't done until that house is sold to somebody.
Right.
No, we keep going. And it's no, usually if they just, they're still fishing, they want to talk to more investors, they want, so my job when I'm out there, and this is why it's so important and this is what I love doing. So this is what I do. I mean, this is why I get 5. So I go out to, let's say I have to go out to 10 a month. I get 5 a month, right? I mean, I am that person. Yeah. And I enjoy it. It's what I do. And if for some reason, like I've traveled for months at a time, I do have other investors, I just told you, that will share a deal and I'll have, but nobody does it like I do. You might, Zach, but.
Hey man, I mean, it's, for me, it's fun. I mean,
it is fun.
Like this, I always say this. If you've done a good job on the front end phone call, the communication, identifying really why they're selling, knowing what they really want out of this, getting and gathering the data, the second appointment is easy. Like if you've done a good enough job on the front end, and that's why I tell people, look, your acquisitions person, or if it's you yourself, it's not just let me ask you some questions. That's not that. You're trying to make your job on the second appointment easy, and you do that on the first appointment.
Well, you do. And, I think another thing I've impressed upon the people that are taking my calls and setting these appointments for me is I don't really care if they say that price is $100,000 more than we find out later than it should be. What I care about is their motivation.
Yes.
Why are they selling? And now are you going to say, why are you selling? No, we have a script. We have ways of asking that question to dig it out. And at first they might say, I don't care. I just want an offer. A lot of times people act like
they do care.
They care or they wouldn't be on the phone. Yeah. So you keep talking. And I've taught different ways of asking some same questions that ends up where, well, truthfully, my kids just moved out and I can't afford it. Whatever. Things come out, but it's about that connection. They got to trust you a little bit to lay some of that out there. And sometimes, I'm all about win-win. So if I go see a house and I look at this house and I'm like, why are you selling it to me? It's beautiful. I think if you're not in a big hurry, you probably should just list it. Yeah. I mean, I'm about win-win. If I don't think it's something that they should be doing, I'm going to tell them.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So we've got networking, which you do a lot of, and you've got the direct mail strategy. What's one more that you say would rise to the top of your surface of lead gen right now? If we looked at the top 3, we've got 2 of them. What would be the third one?
What would be the third? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm getting so much from those. I've always done Bandit Signs. I throw them out there, but I'm just going to be honest with you, Zach. No one's calling on those things anymore. I haven't had anyone tell me I called you from a Bandit sign in a very long time. Right. So I know that we talk about putting them out there and they're out there. Are you getting that same feedback?
It depends on where we put them at. Some of the lower price point markets, we do get a lot of phone calls. Our students do around here locally as well.
Okay, so maybe Stockton's just different. Okay, Realtors. There it is. Realtors. Yeah. So I another thing I teach my students, and I also have people doing, and I do myself, and still show up to the California Association of Realtors, LAR, get to know realtors, and find the ones that are loving to work with investors.
Yes.
And I get I get a couple a month of some sort of lead. Like, I got this house, I'm going to put it on the market. It's really messed up. I want you to go look at it and let me know what you think.
Right.
And I'm going to take your offer and strongly.
And I know these aren't just your 3. I mean, you have an entire free report.
27 ways.
27 different ways to go after for sale by owners. So if you're watching this, there's a link in the description. Tamera was nice enough to kind of put a report together for you guys. You can go click on that link, go do the thing that you need to do to download it and get it and just study it and know that, I know on these shows, we're always asking everybody, what's your top 3? What's your top 3? What's your top 3? But here's something that Tamera's done and said, look, here's 27 that we get leads off of. So I appreciate you doing that, Tamera, for them. And it'll be in the description, guys. Just click on the link. All right, Tamera, I'm going to ask you something else. I'm going to move forward a little bit. So when you're out there like this triplex or the 5 deals you're doing or 6 deals you're doing each month, what would you say is something that like you were like, man, we were doing this all wrong, and these are the things we had to change to get better at the deals that we're doing? So, because look, everybody likes to talk about the wins, right? But we as investors know, like, we're always fixing something, right? It's like, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I change this process? How do I make this process better? How do I tweak this script? Or, how do I build this relationship stronger? I mean, that's the sign of growth. And what would you say is something over the last, say, I don't know, year or 2 years, as you've built to where you are, that you knew you were doing wrong and you had to change it and it's working now for you?
Well, I think I just touched on it. I've been doing direct mail all wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a big one because all the gurus and everybody talks about getting these fancy cards out, these magic postcards, they call them, or whatever. So I listened to that and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm spending like thousands of dollars on direct mail and it just wasn't coming in. So I think grasping the phone numbers and making it more about the conversation instead of about trying to, as you just said, trying to sell from the letter or the postcard, it didn't work. But I will say my very first deal was a letter, my very first deal that we didn't dig into, but I will say this, was a letter to a person in foreclosure. And the reason I got that very first deal is because he kept that letter. And the letter had a little cross at the bottom, and all I used to put on the bottom of all my letters was, I'm praying for you. And so it was just, want to buy your house, blah, blah, blah. It was heartfelt and all that. Had my picture on top. I tried to make him more real, not so salesy. But he said he held on to that letter and actually got out of foreclosure and back in and out again. And then he called 3 months or 4 months after receiving the letter. So you never know. That letter's
so true. Awesome. And you're always, I'm so curious of like when and why people finally make the decision, right? And so I'm a curious person. And so it's like when I am talking to people, I'll always say to the prospect, so what made you call me now? Like, what was it that well, we got your card. This is like the 5th card we've got from you. And I'm like, great. Well, what was it about that made you call me now? Well, it wasn't that card. It was, our situation has changed. But I'm always curious, right? Like, for one, I want to know them and what makes them tick. And 2, how far along in the pain are they really? But also 3, maybe it was the way I changed my headline. Maybe it was a different color I used, or maybe it was something that I said that resonated with that person. And so curiosity has definitely helped me change many, many, many marketing strategies through that process. So I love what you said, though, the postcards, the letters, the marketing. Yes, we hear it all the time. This magic postcard will get you $100,000.
No, it won't. They lie.
It's not. It's not the postcard. You're saying, look, it's the relationship that gets the deal done, and you got to get them on the phone with you. And so you said, perfect. You're like, all I'm concerned about is getting the phone number, because if I can get the phone, then I can get on the phone with them. And so I love that. I love that.
Well, like the triplex, we can go back to that. Okay, so I met with the people. I did get them on the phone, met with them. They didn't like my price, but I connected with them and they learned to trust me. Because one thing I always say in my spiel, in my conversation with them, is reminding them there's a lot of shysters and newbie investors that will not come through. Right. They will give you a contract, they'll tie your property up, and then they'll fail. I've been doing this a very long time. Now, if you're new, can you say that? No, but you can still say, I'm a person who does what I say. I am a person who, if I get into this contract, I'm going to see it through come hell or high water, right? So I think just looking them in the eye, and that's where I think, meeting them face to face is so important for me, because then they called back 2 weeks later, would you go to this price? And it worked out. And so that's how I ended up getting.
How many people are trying to get to the same prospect that you are that live out of state, right? And they're just calling. And you're like, hey, I'm going to come by and check your house out. They're like, great, come on by, right? And look, I'm from the South, and you, like, almost 98% of every call will start with, well, why don't you just come by and look at it? Because that's how they are here. Like, if
you're there, I will only go if they're there, though. Right. I want the people.
You start talking to them, and people in the South are they want to meet you. They want you to come out. They might want to have coffee with you. They might want to walk you around the property. They might want you to sit on the porch with them and watch the traffic go by, right? Like, it's just different. It's like, okay, well, can I ask you some questions about the house first? Well, why don't you just come on out and look at it? I'm like, okay.
All right. I'll do that.
Let's go. Yep. One trick I learned a long time ago, especially here in the South, because everybody's got dogs here, and I'm going to share this with everybody. People always say, like, hey, if my dog likes you, I like you. So I learned a long time ago that I would take a couple of dog milk bones and stick them in my pocket, and I'd rub my hand in my pocket when I would get out of the car. If the dog comes running up to me, I'd stick my hand out, and they'd just start licking my hand. They'd be like, oh, my dog likes you. I'm like, thanks.
That is funny. Oh my gosh, I'll have to remember that one. I have not done that trick.
And it's just always, because it's like here in the South, you go look at houses, like dogs aren't in fences, they're not on leashes, they just run, right? And
okay.
And so you got to have a little trick of, nah, man, they'll get around you, boy.
Well, maybe because I'm a woman, they like me anyway. I just get down on the ground and
right. I guess if I rolled around with them, or they smell my English bulldog on me, and they'll be like, "Oh, look at that dog." All right, Tamera. So you nailed a good deal. You shared a ton of good information already, really about relationship. I mean, I feel like this conversation has been more about not so much lead gen, but how you get the lead is important, but what you do with it, which is communication, build relationship, talk to them, be present, set the appointment, go see them, go be on their property with them. I love all of that. What do you, what are your goals? I mean, when we look at 2020, what are your goals?
I want to add an apartment complex in 2020. Or two, I wouldn't mind. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep this triplex. So I'd like to, we're at a place right now, if I can get some good deals, especially here in California, I believe it'll just turn out good for me in the end, because properties are doing nothing but going up here. So, I mean, even if we have a dip at some point, which I'm pretty sure we're going to, I'm not afraid of that. In the long term, I think, as long as that was what I was going to say too, is I always buy for cash flow. Even though I'm a flipper, right? I flip. Because you never know what the market's going to do, or as we have found, how fast that can happen. You don't want to be stuck with a property you can't rent to cover your costs.
Right.
So that's where foreclosure happens to people. So I always buy thinking, okay, if something happened.
Yep. If I get stuck with this thing, I better rent it out, right?
Exactly.
That's funny you say that. I say that too. So.
Yep. Yeah. No.
We're a lot alike, Tamera.
Zach, you're really scaring me now. Oh, no one says Tamera attack. They say Zack attack.
Or they just call me the real estate boss.
There you go. You are. I'm the flipping queen, though. Do you remember?
I've heard that. I have heard that. So you're in California. I think this is a very important question to ask. What is your competition like right now out there?
It's tough, and I think where people are failing, I mean, I can tell you right now, they're failing on what I'm telling you they're not doing.
So you're not worried about the competition because you're doing what they're not doing.
They're throwing mud against the wall and hoping some stuff sticks, but in this market, that is not going to happen. No. But everybody who I meet with who says, well, I'm in a shop price, I have to talk to them about why they need to rethink that.
Right.
And please keep me in mind when you get a little nervous about that shyster you're talking to, or maybe even a solid investor. I don't know. But like I do buy on the court steps, but there's nothing on the court steps right now. Banks and hedge funds are buying up everything. So
we don't have that problem in Alabama. Like people look at Alabama and they're like, Alabama, and I'm like, yes, it's horrible here.
Don't go.
But our auction
extremely competitive.
Yeah, our auction has changed too, though. We used to go to the auction, there might be 5-6 people there. Now we go down there and there's 50 people. They're fighting each other. They're being rude. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. I mean, it's just
they're paying
crazy.
too much. They're
way too much.
Yeah, I'm not getting any deals down there now, so I go down there and say hi to my friends.
Yeah, and you said it point blank. I think what you said about the networking going down there, it's great for people to go down there to find the buyers, right? And build the relationships with them. I think that's important.
Find out here's what I want to know. What are you looking for today? Like you're asking me, what's hot for you?
Yeah.
And where else are you buying besides here?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've been in this market myself for a decade now, and I have the RIA here. I'm just, people ask me like, well, do you do a lot of direct mail? Not as much as I used to, because, when the competition wasn't high here, I did a ton of direct mail. But now the competition is high, I just lean more in on my network. I mean, I still spend money every month on some marketing, but I've just been here so long, I'm a little bit more plugged in than the new person. So the banks are talking to me, the realtors know me. I have my RIA, so I get new people bring deals to me all the time. And, and that just comes with the time I've put in building that name for myself in this market as a closer. Coffee with closers.
Oh, that's funny. Yep.
Tamera, what would you say to someone brand new watching this? Like, what would be your advice? Someone brand new, hasn't done a deal before. They're watching this. They're engaging with you. They're liking what you're saying. They're like, yeah, this is like the direction I want to go. What would be your advice to either a brand new person, or even better, what would be your advice to yourself when you were brand new?
Believe that it's not about the money, it's about the deal. That anyone who has the drive and the wherewithal to get out there and do it can do it, can make money in real estate. It's not about, I just have to, I didn't mention this, but I have a good amount of my own money I buy real estate with, but like I said, I'm not like, I'm not a bottomless pile of money.
Right.
And there comes a point where either I'm going to have to get a loan or other investors. So I have a lot of friends and other investors now who do these deals with me. Yeah. So it's not about the money. In fact, call me. All of you listening, call Zach, call me. If you find a deal you can't afford, remember, I'll buy anything if it's a deal. Sorry, Zach. California, you can have, how about your East Coast?
Look, I will never go back to California. You can have all the deals you want in California. Perfect. I could not get out of there fast enough, honestly.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 points. And then you can profit in any market, up or down. It doesn't matter. I've never stopped. You've never stopped.
Nope.
Never.
You actually can get more wealthier in a down market if you
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, like my husband and I were just talking on the way here, and I said, oh my gosh, I think everyone's throwing their houses on the market before Christmas. There's like an abundance of houses on the market right now. And he goes, well, a good way to look at that is a good time to buy. So my point is, it's just a matter of where you are in the market cycle.
Yep.
And then I think, and I know probably a lot of people say this, Zach, but it is so true. I could never have done it without getting a coach. I started with what I did. You need Zach to hold your hand. You need someone to walk you through the process, especially those first deals or two.
Yeah.
I highly recommend. Zach, you're one of the best in the business. I've been teasing you. Get Zach to walk you through it. That's what you need. So I think that's key. I don't think
I think
getting out there, School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yes.
Way more expensive than Zach.
Look, I shared a story this weekend. I had a 3-day event this weekend, and I had some students there, and I shared the story about the first time someone ever offered me mentoring. And I had bought this rehab because I've been watching HGTV. Like, oh, it got to be easy. Look
this house in 24 hours.
Yeah, like, ooh, look at that. Look how much money they made. And I showed it to the guy, and he said, look, I'll mentor you on this deal because you need it. You don't know what you're getting into. This is a complete gut job. He's like, but here's the deal. I want half the profits. Well, this was, out in the Bay Area. I mean, the deal I had structured was almost a $200,000 profit.
Woo!
Not
Go,
get my
Zack.
little pea brain to wrap around the idea that a coach was worth $100,000. I could not even fathom it because
0 or 100.
Well, and I couldn't have fathomed it because what I shared this weekend was because I couldn't even fathom paying myself that much at the time, So how could I pay somebody else? So eventually I said no to the guy. Well, I ended up losing the house. I lost $300,000 on the deal. And it was a very hard lesson.
Yes.
So $100,000 of my own money and $200,000 of potential profit. So
ouch. That's a big one. But I hope when people are listening to what you're saying, and I concur, don't get out there and do this alone. It's a very litigious society. One of my first couple of deals, we talk about a mistake. I was sued for the stupidest thing that if I would have had somebody looking at my contracts, wouldn't have happened. It was just a couple words in a contract that I didn't know, couldn't be in there. Or actually was the font. No joke. It was the font size. And I lost $70,000 for the font size in California foreclosure contract that wasn't on it. Seriously.
California.
So my point is, don't be afraid.
Yes.
Do it. But do it with some guidance and legal advice and all those things, definitely. And never give up on your dreams.
Right. Never give up. I love that. Yeah. Do it, get help, and never give up.
Exactly.
Love it.
Took me a year.
Never give up.
Took me a year.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Tamera. Well, listen, guys, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to put her link in the description. I want you guys to go get her report on 27 ways to get for sale by owner leads. I love that. 27 ways to get for sale by owner leads. So get that, go through it, utilize it, and hang out. See what Tamera's got going on. If you get a chance to rub elbows with her, do it. She's a rock star in this business. I mean, she's been around as long as I have, and that says a lot if you've been in this business through one market cycle already, right? I mean, anybody could run into the market right now with a few deals and say, look how great I am. But let's see how many of them are still there when the market turns.
Exactly.
So, Tamera, I like to end all of my shows with these hot fire questions.
All right.
Are you ready?
Oh, I have to get my notes. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I took some notes because I'm not very good with that.
All right, here we go. Hot fire question number 1. What is the best place for vacation for you?
Anywhere tropical paradise, but I love Fiji.
Fiji. Do you stay on the little cabanas over the water?
I did. Actually, it was right by Anthony Robbins' spot.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called, anyway, I won't name the place.
I changed this question. So what was your first automobile?
My first one was a Volkswagen.
Oh, what color was it?
It was actually, I had Bondo on it, and then I painted it sparkly green.
I love that question. It tells so much about a person when they tell you what their first automobile. Like mine was a '72 Gremlin.
That thing took me through college. How about you? Well, I blew up that engine 5 times. My dad had to rebuild, and he rebuilt it in a weekend. Those were the days.
So easy to Volkswagen. That Gremlin was easy to work on.
Exactly.
Like today, you open the hood and you're like, what?
No.
All right. What's your favorite season or holiday?
I love summer, long days. I love the long summer days. So I live in warm weather. Yep. We have boats. We're on lots of waterways. Love the summer.
Awesome. Yes, I do miss the weather in California. I'm not going to lie, because I lived in the Benicia, Vallejo area by the Carquinez Strait. Yeah. It's like 72 degrees all year long there.
You don't even want to know how beautiful it is out here. It hasn't been below 70 yet. I mean, it has been amazing. I hate to say that for you people who don't have that, but I hate the taxes. No, I hate the government. Love the weather.
I said it all the time. I'm like, why'd you leave California? I'm like, look, I love the opportunity. I love the weather. I just didn't like the state.
No, I'm not always in alignment with that either. So, yeah, I'm not a big holiday fan because I like to work.
Yeah.
And dang it, things close, but I love the summer.
I hear you. Well, okay, so let's talk about what's your favorite podcast? Something, it could be business, it could be anything. What's a podcast that you've listened to that you're like, man, I got lots of value out of that?
Yours. I'm sorry. I can't bring up anybody else's podcast on your podcast.
I know, but that's not what this is about. I appreciate that. But, like I say to people, look, outside of my podcast and your podcast, what's another podcast? Because this is all about value for everybody.
I listen to podcasts every single day, but I listen to one called Eternal Leadership, and I really like it.
Eternal Leadership. That's awesome. Yeah. Let me write that down. Because look, not only do other people watching this get value, I get value out of this too.
All right.
Eternal Leadership. I haven't heard that.
And of course, I always enjoy listening to Grant Cardone's and what's his name? Sorry.
Gary V.
Your Next Million for Frank Kern. I really enjoy that.
Kern.
I get a lot of business tips from Your Next Million, Frank Kern.
So I've been following Frank Kern at least 13 years.
He's amazing.
He grew up in Macon, Georgia, and I went to high school in Warner Robins, Georgia, which was just next door to Macon. And so I just connected with him right out the gate. It was just like, I just love his style. He's like, look, if I can do this, you can do it.
Exactly. And he's so good. No, I get something out, and they're short. They're like really short. And of course I listen because of who I am at time and a half.
Yeah, I do too. That's what I put it on 1.5 or 1.7 and roll with it. So
exactly. My husband's like, stop, make it 1, please. Right. Everybody's different.
What's your favorite food?
Fettuccine Alfredo. That's easy. Anything with cheese.
That's my daughter's. All right. Are you a early to rise or sleep in?
Early to rise. I like to get it done before everyone starts bugging me. I work out every single day by 6 o'clock in the morning. Spend a little time with God before that. Awesome. I'm ready to rock it by 8. But boy, your next question, I'm sure a time to bed is early.
You go to bed early?
Yeah, 9:30.
So that's my problem. I get up super early. I just don't go to bed early.
Oh, I have to have my sleep.
Favorite book?
1 Minute Millionaire.
Yes, I wrote that down.
I mean, there's a lot of great books out there, so that's kind of tough. But I was actually, when you asked that, you made me think about it. I went back and I'm like, I still really like this book.
That is a good book. I think, it's something, and it's not like a lot of people don't know about it today because all these other books have came out, but
which are amazing.
Absolutely. I have books everywhere. So, all right, last question, final question. What's your favorite movie of all times?
I like Gone with the Wind.
Oh, look at there.
I love Scarlett OHara. Her and me are like this. Me and Scarlett.
Classic.
I can do it. She falls apart and then like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can do it.
That's a classic.
Love that movie.
I've watched it, I don't know, at least 10 times myself. So.
I watched it again just recently, like 2 months ago, and I wanted to remind myself. I'm like, it's still my favorite.
Yeah,
it's
that's
old
a classic.
School, but yeah, that's good.
I like it. Well, Tamera, thanks so much for coming on here with a Coffee with Closer show and just sharing your experience and your time in the space and all your good little tips. And thanks for giving everybody a free report. I mean, that was super generous of you. So thank you
for having me. It was an honor to be here, Zach. I just look up to all that you do, and I'm very excited that you had me on this today. I could talk about real estate forever. This podcast could go on for 8 hours and we still would be chatting.
I know. I'm the same way. I can just talk and talk and talk. And that's the whole reason we brought the show to the surface, was just Coffee with Closers. Like, I want to talk with people who are closing deals. Like, let's really talk about real estate and not every other thing out there in the sun. So, guys, you heard it here. You heard it first. You got to see the flipping queen, Miss Tamera. I'm just happy she was here. I hope you guys got a ton of value out of this. I know I took a lot of notes myself over here. She shared some cool stuff, and the giving keeps giving. Just click the link in the description to keep on giving. And if you guys get a chance to be wherever Tamera's at, follow her and just plug in, man. I mean, she is out there making it happen. And so you heard it from another Coffee with Closers show. Miss Tamera was on here. So guys, put a comment in. Remember to do one important thing, and that is, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe, click the bell, know when we post another one for you, and let other people know about this too. Share it out there with everybody. Guys, this is Zack Childress, and I will see you on the next Coffee with Closer. See ya. Bye.
Thanks, Zach.